If you're a Mac user trying to track time with precision, this episode will save you weeks of research. My Notebook LM assistants break down Toggl, Timery, and timing, the pros, the cons, and the surprising deal breakers. So which one will you choose?
Do you ever feel like you're just constantly busy running your business, but when you look back, you're honestly not quite sure where all that time actually went?
Oh, absolutely. It's that classic feeling, isn't it? You're working hard, putting in the hours, but planning feels like pure guesswork without knowing how the time's really being spent. And that question, am I actually being productive? It can really get to you.
Totally. And getting that clarity, well, that's exactly what Damien was digging into in episodes 53 through 56 specifically.
Right, all focused on time tracking tools, especially for the Mac.
So our mission here in this deep dive is basically to pull out the best bits, the key takeaways from Damien's explorations.
Yeah, we want to show you what he learned, what he discovered about these different tools, and crucially, how you can use those insights to finally get a proper handle on your own time and, your business planning.
So why bother with time tracking anyway? Damien covered this back in episode 53. It really boils down to solving some fundamental problems.
Like if your estimates for how long tasks take are always way off, that makes planning impossible and just leaves you feeling unproductive. Time tracking gives you that hard data.
Exactly. It's like the truth serum for your schedule. Peter Drucker's famous quote, right? What gets measured gets improved.
Time tracking provides that measurement. It gives you accurate data, which means smarter planning and hopefully actually being more productive.
And it's not just about raw productivity. Understanding where your time actually goes, the cost of that time, helps you spot which clients or projects are genuinely the most profitable.
Right. So you know which efforts are really paying off. You can steer your business based on facts, not just, gut feelings.
Now, you could use pen and paper, I suppose.
Sure, but digital tools, especially dedicated ones, offer so much more with categorization and reporting. Things like screen time on your Mac, they show app usage, but they really fall short for proper business tracking.
Yeah, screen time tells you how long you were in an app, maybe which website, but you can't easily say, okay, this hour in Word was for client X's project, or tag it, or export the data easily.
It's good for digital well-being, maybe, but not for deep business insights. So a dedicated digital tool is really the way forward.
And the three main ones Damien really put under the microscope were Toggl, Timery, and timing.
And if you want to refresh on Damien's original thoughts on just the why of time tracking, the core benefits, you can check out macpreneur.com/episode 53.
Okay, so let's kick off with the first tool Damien really got into, which he covered back in episode 54, Toggl. Cloud-based, works pretty much everywhere, web, Mac, Windows, mobile. And Damien had actually used it for over a decade.
Wow, 10 years. Why so long?
Well, initially it was because he needed something that worked on both Windows and Mac back in the day. That cross-platform thing was key for him then.
Makes sense. And setting it up, and it uses a pretty standard structure, right? Workspace, then clients, projects under those, and tags you can add. The hierarchy is straightforward. One quirk Damien noted, though, is that you have to use the Toggl web interface to actually set up new clients.
Okay. But projects and tags?
Those you can thankfully create on the fly from the desktop or mobile apps, which is much more convenient.
And Damien's setup, he used a single workspace called Time Budget. Why was that?
Yeah, that was deliberate. He wanted to track everything, personal stuff and business stuff, all in one place. That way, he could get unified reports seeing the whole picture of his time.
Interesting. So under his business, Easy Tech, he'd have projects like on the business, admin, operations.
Right. And then under a personal client, he'd track time spent with family, chores, me time, that kind of thing.
And this is where tags really shine, isn't it, for reporting across different projects?
Absolutely. Damien used tags for stuff like commute, marketing, or even NVA for non-value-added tasks he did outside normal work hours.
He had a good example with his BNI networking group, didn't he?
Yeah, that was a great insight. He tagged all his BNI-related activities, even if they fell under different projects like admin or business development.
So the tag let him filter just for that.
Exactly. And the insight. He realized that role was taking up about 10% of his total Easy Tech time. That's the kind of clarity you can get with good tagging. You wouldn't see that just looking at project totals.
Okay, what about using the actual Toggl desktop app on the Mac?
It has the standard list view of entries and also a day view that can show your calendar appointments alongside your track time. It also has this automatic recording feature.
Recording. So it tracks automatically.
Well, sort of. It records which apps and websites you use in the background. which sounds useful if you, forget to start a timer.
There's always a but.
The catch, as Damien found, is that it logs the activity, but it doesn't automatically start a timer or assign it to a project for you.
So it just creates a list of things you did.
Pretty much. There's also an auto tracker feature that can pop up a notification based on keywords and what you're doing, but you still have to manually click to create the time entry. Damien called it half-baked automation. Not quite there.
Gotcha. It does have a built-in Pomodoro timer, though.
Yep, that's handy. And restarting recent timers is really easy. Just a click, or you can search for older ones. It pre-fills the project and tags from the previous entry.
So, summing up Toggl's strengths, based on Damien's view in episode 54.
The free plan is definitely a big plus. He used it for years and said it covered all the basic tracking needs perfectly.
And the web reporting is pretty powerful for digging into the data.
Yeah, really good for analysis and figuring out workflow improvements. Plus, it integrates natively with Google and Outlook calendars, other tools too, though some integrations might be paid.
And the browser extension connects to tons of web apps.
Hundreds, yeah. Chrome, Edge, Firefox, very useful. And team collaboration is included free for up to 5 users, good for solopreneurs, maybe working with a VA.
Okay, but what about the weaknesses, particularly on the Mac?
Right. Manually adding or editing time entries felt a bit fiddly, as Damien put it, not super smooth.
And the big one, having to go to the web app for all your reports and client management. You couldn't do it in the Mac app itself.
Yeah, that was a bit of a pain. But the absolute killer, the major sticking point for Damien.
No shortcut support.
Exactly. 0 shortcuts automation support on the native Toggl Mac app. For someone like Damien wanting to automate starting timers and build workflows on his Mac, this was basically a non-starter.
And that specific limitation, the lack of Mac shortcuts, is what really pushed him to look at the next tool, Timery.
Precisely. Which he covered in episode 55. And again, you can find the full deep dive on Toggl itself over at macromiro.com/episode 54.
All right, so let's unpack Timery then. Focus of episode 55. Now, this one's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a different animal entirely. Timery isn't a standalone tracker. It's an Apple-centric third-party app that works with your existing Toggl account.
So you still need Toggl running in the background, basically, or at least the account.
You need the Toggl account and its database. Timery acts as a much slicker front end, offering a native experience specifically designed for Mac, iPhone, and iPad, leveraging Apple's own features.
Okay, and setup is just connecting your Toggl account within the Timery app.
Yep, and because it uses the Toggl database, all your stuff, workspaces, clients, projects, tags, like Damien's setup with 2 clients and 11 projects, it's all just there.
And tags are still key here.
Oh yeah, still super valuable for that cross-project analysis. Damien even mentioned experimenting with tags like draining and energizing in Timery.
Oh, interesting. To track how work felt.
Exactly. To try and quantify which types of tasks were fulfilling versus draining, to help maybe guide future project choices. But his advice was definitely start small with tags, don't go crazy right away.
So what made Timery stand out for Damien, especially after hitting those roadblocks with the native Toggl Mac app? What were the strengths?
Well, first off, the Mac app itself is just much nicer. It's responsive, the design adapts well when you resize it. The list view is clearer too, actually showing start and end times directly.
And editing time entries is easier.
Way easier. It has handy buttons like 1 minute ago, 5 minutes later. And crucially, it has a since last stop time button.
Ah, for when you forget to stop one timer before starting the next.
Exactly. It automatically sets the start time to the exact moment the previous entry finished. So no more gaps or overlaps. You can also just swipe on entries to restart them quickly.
Okay, nice. And what about this save timers feature?
That was a big one. You can pre-configure specific project and tag combinations you use often, like client Y meeting prep.
And the kicker.
The kicker is you can trigger these save timers using keyboard shortcuts.
So automation potential, especially with something like a Stream Deck.
Totally. A huge win for Damien's workflow. One button press could start a perfectly tagged timer instantly.
And the biggest advantage over the native Toggl app.
Full shortcuts, automation, support on the Mac.
Finally.
Right. This was massive. You can build really sophisticated shortcuts to ensure timers are consistent, tags aren't forgotten, even create little menus to pick and trigger your save timers. It completely solved that automation gap from Toggl's Mac app.
Okay, that sounds pretty compelling. Anything else?
Yeah, the built-in custom reports are actually really good. You can create, save, and export reports, CSVs, whatever, right from the Timery app. Great filtering options, too.
So less need to jump to the Toggl web portal for basic reporting.
Much less need. Damien said pretty much the only reason he'd need the Toggl web interface anymore was maybe to create a completely new workspace from scratch, which isn't often.
Wow, okay. Timery sounds like a dream for Mac and iOS Toggl users.
Well, it's Apple devices only. No Windows, no Android support at all. If you need access on other platforms, Timery alone won't work.
Right, cross-platform users are out. What else?
You still need to use the Toggl web interface if you want to configure team collaboration features. You can't manage team stuff within Timery itself.
Okay. And what about that automatic activity recording like Toggl had?
Yeah, key point. Timery itself does not do any automatic background activity recording. If you want that feature, the one that logs apps and websites you use, you'd actually need to run the native Toggl Mac app alongside Timery.
Okay. So you might end up running both.
Potentially, yeah. That's what Damien did for a while to get the best of both worlds. Timery's interface and automation, plus Toggl's background logging.
And finally, the free version.
Very limited. Only lets you have 4 saved timers, only shows your last 4 time entries, no client management in the app. To really unlock its power, you need the Timery Club subscription.
Which costs?
Pretty reasonable, actually, like $9.99 a year. Damien definitely felt the paid version was worthwhile for the features it unlocked.
Okay, so Timery solves the automation issue, but no auto activity tracking itself, and it's Apple only.
Exactly. It fixed the UI and automation problems, but not that automatic tracking piece. And that gap is what led Damien to investigate the third tool, timing, covered in episode 56.
You can find Damien's full deep dive on Timery, by the way, at macpreneur.com/episode 55.
Right. So timing, episode 56. This one flips the script again, takes a really different approach.
How so?
Timing is a dedicated Mac-only time tracking tool. And its absolute core defining feature is automatic tracking and automatic assignment of your activity.
Okay, automatic assignment. How does that work?
Think of it like Apple's Screen Time, but way smarter for work. It runs in the background, watches what apps, documents, websites you use, and it uses rules to try and automatically assign that time to specific projects you set up.
So it tries to figure out what you are working on, not just that you are working.
Precisely. It needs permissions, obviously, to see window titles and things, but you can tell it to ignore certain apps or websites for privacy. Now, here's a massive difference from Toggl and Timery. Timing has no tagging system at all.
No tags. How do you categorize things then?
You basically have to rely entirely on your project structure. Damien found this meant he needed a much deeper hierarchy. He mentioned going 5 levels deep in some cases to try and get the kind of granular reporting he was used to with tags.
Wow, 5 levels deep. Okay. You can also assign productivity scores to projects.
Yeah, you can rate projects as productive, neutral, or unproductive, and it gives you an overall score.
So what's the day-to-day workflow like?
It's very visual, quite drag and drop. You get panels showing all recorded activity, and importantly, a panel showing unassigned activities. You just drag those blocks of time onto the correct project in your list.
But the real power is the automation, right? The rules.
Absolutely. This is the magic of timing. When you drag an activity block onto a project, if you hold down the Option key, that's the Alt key on the Mac keyboard.
Okay, Option drag.
It prompts you to create a rule. This rule tells timing, hey, next time you see activity matching these criteria, like a specific app window title containing client Z report, or any file inside a particular project folder, or activity on a certain website, automatically assign it to this project.
So you teach it where things go.
Exactly. You can build rules manually too, with really detailed conditions. Once you've got rules set up for your common tasks, a huge amount of your time gets assigned automatically without you touching anything. It's a massive time saver.
That sounds powerful.
Yeah.
Any other notable features?
On the higher plans, like Expert and Up, you can assign calendar entries to projects just by clicking on the event in Timing's timeline view.
Handy for meetings.
Yep. And you can still do manual time entries if you need to, including setting an estimated duration, which gives you a notification when time's up, sort of like a Pomodoro timer function.
What about syncing, especially if you use an iPhone or iPad?
Timing offers standard iCloud sync between Macs. It can also use iCloud to import screen time data from your other Apple devices, like your iPhone or iPad.
So it can see some iOS activity?
It can import the screen time summary, yes. It gives you some visibility, but it's not tracking the activity directly on iOS in the same detailed way it does on the Mac. There's also their own timing sync service for syncing between multiple Macs.
And data privacy with that sync service.
Data is stored on servers in Germany, so it's GDPR compliant. However, Damien noted it's not end-to-end encrypted. That means, in theory, the developer could access the data if required. Something to be aware of.
Good to know. What about reports and seeing your stats?
It's got nice visual panels, bar charts, donut charts showing your time breakdown, lots of filtering options by date, device, activity type. There are simple reports with presets and various export formats, CSV, PDF, HTML, JSON.
And advanced reports.
Those offer more presets, allow 2 levels of grouping in the report, like project then app, and include detailed app usage stats within projects.
Okay, pricing. This one's not free, right?
Correct. No free plan, just a 30-day trial. Then it's subscription-based with 3 tiers: Professional, Expert, and Connect.
And the differences.
Things like how many Macs you can use it on, whether you get screen time import, the advanced reports, calendar integration, scripting support, that's AppleScript on Expert Plus, and team collaboration, which is only on the top Connect plan.
Right. But Damien mentioned a way he tested it for free for longer.
Yes, SetApp. It's that subscription service like Netflix, but for Mac and iOS apps. Pay 1 monthly fee, get access to a whole curated collection of apps.
And timing is in SetTap.
Yes, and it gives you the feature set equivalent to the paid expert level plan from Timing directly.
So you get the auto tracking, the rules, the good reports.
All the core Mac goodness. However, the key limitation with the SetApp version is that it does not include access to Timing's web portal.
And why does the web portal matter?
Well, since Timing doesn't have its own native iPhone or iPad app, the only way to track time directly via Timing on those devices is through their web interface. And access to that web interface requires buying the Expert or Connect plan directly from Timing.
Oh, okay, so SetTap gets you the great Mac app, but limited iOS visibility.
Exactly. But it's a fantastic way to try Timing's powerful Mac features for free if you're already a SetApp user or thinking about it. Damien shared a link for a free month trial at macpreneur.com/SetApp.
Good tip. Okay, so summing up Timing strengths.
Very approachable. That drag and drop thing is nice. All config is in the native Mac app. You can keep data local if you want.
But the main event.
The powerful automatic assignment via rules, that's the killer feature. Huge time saver, captures everything passively.
Plus calendar assignment on higher tiers, manual tracking, team features on the top plan.
Right. Solid feature set overall.
But the weaknesses. Why didn't Damien switch, ultimately?
2 main reasons, really. First, the lack of a native iPhone app was a drawback for tracking on the go, especially since the workaround requires direct purchase, not via SetApp.
And the second, bigger reason.
The deal breaker, no tagging system.
Right. Back to that.
For Damien's needs, being able to slice and dice data across different types of activities that might occur within multiple different projects, like seeing all his commute time or all marketing admin time, regardless of which client it was for that was essential, Timing's project structure just couldn't replicate that flexibility for him.
So if you rely heavily on tags for analysis, Timing might be frustrating.
That was his conclusion, yes. And the final point, no native shortcut support, only AppleScript on the higher plans, which is less accessible for many users compared to Timery's shortcuts integration.
You can find Damien's full deep dive into Timing, again at macpreneur.com/episode 56.
Okay, so that's the tour of the 3 tools based on Damien's journey. Let's try and tie this together now. How do you actually choose?
Yeah, what are the actionable takeaways here? We've seen the trade-offs.
Right, Toggl. Free base, works everywhere, web focused for the powerful stuff, but the Mac app is basic and lacks automation.
Timery, beautiful Apple-centric front end for Toggl, fantastic Mac UI and shortcuts automation, great in-app reports, but it's paid for the good stuff, Apple only, and doesn't do the auto activity tracking itself.
And Timing, the Mac only champ for automatic tracking and assignment using rules, but crucially, no tags, paid only, and no native iOS app.
So thinking about your needs, how do you pick? If you want free, you need cross-platform basics, and you're okay doing reports on the web.
Then Toggl's free plan is probably your starting point. Still very capable.
Okay, but if you're all in on Apple, you might already use Toggl, and Mac automation using shortcuts for starting timers is really important to you.
Then Timery's paid version looks like a really strong contender. It solves those specific Toggl Mac app frustrations.
Now, what is automatic activity tracking and assignment is your absolute top priority? Like you just want the tool to capture everything without you thinking about it. You mostly work on your Mac, and you don't need complex tag-based analysis across different activity types.
Then Timing is likely the best fit. That automatic rule-based assignment is its superpower. Definitely worth trying via that SetApp trial.
And what about team features? if you need integrated setup for collaboration.
Well, among these three, the Timing Connect plan was the only one Damien looked at that built right into the tool's higher tier. Toggl offers it on free paid plans, but setup is web-based. Timery doesn't handle team config in-app.
So ultimately, the right tool really depends on what helps you get the clarity you need, right, to make better decisions for your own business.
Exactly. Better decisions about productivity, profitability, all of it.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to chew on, based on everything Damien uncovered.
Yeah. Ask yourself, what kind of insights do you actually need to make those important decisions about your time? Is just knowing which app or document you used enough?
Or do you need to know how that time contributes to different types of tasks like marketing, admin, deep work across all your various clients and projects?
Because your answer to that question about the kind of analysis you need might just be the key to picking the tool that gives you the specific clarity you're looking for.
Definitely something to think about. And remember, you can try these out.
Yep, trials are available. SetTap gives you that free month to test Timing's expert-level features on the Mac. Find that at macpreneur.com/SetTap. And Timery offers a trial of its paid club features too.
And if you're curious about other tools Damien uses, not just for time tracking, you can find his full list over at macpreneur.com/tools.
That's macpreneur.com/tools.
Well, thanks for diving deep with us into Damien's time tracking adventures.
Yeah, hope this helps you figure out the best way to track your time and gain that valuable clarity.
I'm back. In the next episode, the AI audio overview will revisit 3 more episodes of Season 2 covering the 3 killers of Mac productivity, as well as 2 episodes that will help you reduce unnecessary clicks. So make sure to subscribe or follow this podcast to get it automatically next week. And until next time, I'm Damien Schreurs, wishing you a great day.
Thank you for watching the Macpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave a comment and share it with a friend right now.